Hello, and welcome to Week 7 of the KML Weekly Preview. I'm your host, Mike Morano, here breaking down the games again. Can you believe it's already the midway point of the season? We're halfway home through the regular season. Still some things to be sorted out, and some important games coming up. Quick side note, I'm going to try to rip through this. Half an hour is too long for these weekly previews. Going to try to keep it to 15 minutes. So let's get right to the first game. Away we go. The first game we're going to talk about is Go Cubs in shit. 2-4, 11th place, going up against the Reed and Dwayne Bows. They are 4-2, sitting there in third place. Looking good, looking strong. This line is actually surprisingly even. All-time record slightly favors Rogers 3-2, so not much of an advantage there. Scott last week lost to Wingus. Not a huge surprise. Wingus was able to pull out the win there to save some face. As for Rogers, he beat Turo. Good win for Rogers there. Turo was a powerhouse team. Couple good teams going up. Almost was the game of the week last week. The bye weeks here, Scott has nobody on bye. He's going to be full strength going into this one. The problem is with Rogers. Rogers has Dallas on bye, and of course, with everybody he has on that team, he's got Witten, he's got Bailey, he's got Dax. I don't know if he actually played Dax or not, but he's got Dax. And most importantly, he's got Zeke. And without Zeke, that puts a whole different spin on his team, so he's going to be hurting with the bye week. The important matchup on this one is Scott has kicker and defense going on Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, respectively. Rogers is done relatively early, so it's going to be all Scott all the time come those two primetime games. The head-to-head matchup here of the QBs is going to be the most important one. They actually play against each other. It's Smith going up against the Breeze, New Orleans going up against Kansas City. I think that's going to be the deciding factor in this one. Therefore, I am picking the Reader because I like Breeze over Smith. Let's move on to the next game. Boom. The next game we are talking about is Whitemare. This is my Whitemare. 4-2, 4th place. Going up against Bubblegum by the Bum, 2-4, 9th place. Very similar game as to the one we just talked about. A couple 4-2 teams going up against a couple 2-4 teams. This could be an interesting matchup, see if it could break either way. The line in this game has Turo favored by about 5 points, slight edge, not too much to overcome, but it is worth noting. All-time record, all even, 1-1, with the Bubblegum by the Bum expansion team having a limited history, but still building on that day by day. Turo's team last week lost to Rogers. He had Tate on the bench. Tate went off, but still wouldn't have even mattered. I mean, it was just too much of a victory, so no harm by sitting Tate there. Full strength, no bye weeks this week for Turo. As for Moto, he lost a bit. Both teams coming off of losses, looking for get a win, get the ship righted, so to speak. He also is full strength heading into this matchup. The game to watch in this matchup is going to come down to Sunday Night Football because you're going to have DJ. That is the fantasy stud, number one player in fantasy, going up against the Seattle boys for Turo. He's got Baldwin. He's got Graham. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there because that's going to be the important game, really, with this one, that Arizona-Seattle matchup. Also worth noting, Turo has the defense going into Monday Night Football. That Denver defense, always a wild card. You never know, they could get a pick 6 or 2, put up a big number, put up a crooked number, if you will, there to sway that matchup. The pick in this one, I'm gonna choose Moto in this one, and my main reason for picking Moto goes back to the QBs again. Aaron Rodgers just doesn't look right. I don't know what to make of him. He's got to get his shit together. I don't think he does it this week in this divisional game. I actually kind of like the Bears in this game. I know that sounds crazy, but I think they could surprise because Brian Hoyer isn't as bad as everybody thinks, but beside the point, Aaron Rodgers stinks. I think it sinks Turo's team this week, and I think Moto gets back to 3 and what would it be, 3-4 then? Hey, still would suck, but 3-4 is better than 2-4. So anyway, Moto, lock it in. Next game. You know what the next game is? We're gonna go ahead and talk about the return of the Sharknado. 2-4 in 8th place, traveling to the Buddy Van Doodle's house, 3-3, 6th place. Good matchup here. One game separating these two playoff teams. Going to have a lot of playoff implications on this one, with the team sitting there and they're right around the cut line. Speaking of lines, the line on this one has Rob favored right around 5+ points, 5 or 6 points. It looks like, depending on what time you click refresh. All-time record favors Wingus 3-2. Last week, Rob lost to the KBGs. No surprise. Nothing to be ashamed of there. It happens to the best of them. Going to happen to Joel next week. Full strength on the bye weeks for Rob. However, two big injuries here. Lacey and Reed, not going to help his cause at all. Lacey going down with some sort of knee or something. But anyway, he's going to be out for 4 or 5 weeks, it looks like. Same with Reed. Can't seem to get out of concussion protocol, so that's going to put a little bit of a damper on the Revenge of the Sharknado this week. As for the Buddy Van Doodles, he got a good win over Scott. Looked a little dicey there late in the day, but was able to pull it out in the end. Also, nobody on bye, and no injury, so he is coming in this one full strength. The game is going to come down. I like kind of the running back versus running back matchup in the two Pride Times games. Of course, Buddy Van Doodle, Christine Michael going up against C.J. Anderson on Monday Night Football for Rob. That's really where the pick is going to come down to for me. All these teams have tough matchups across the board. I still don't think Bortles is right for Jacksonville. I don't see him putting up a big game against Oakland. If he can't do it here, he can't do it anywhere. So I think it's going to come down to these two running backs. Between the two, I think I like Michael just a little bit more. Although the matchup's not very strong there. I think this is going to be a very low-scoring matchup. I think the first person to get to 90 points wins it, and therefore I'm going to pick Wingus, mostly because of that, but also partly because I'm still bitter over the 2013 semifinal game. Let's move on. Next game. This game here is J-Rod the Bod Limbach, 2-4, 10th place, going up against the KBG Powerhouse, 5-1, first place, right where he fucking belongs. You wouldn't believe the line on this one. The line is 20 points. I checked the rosters. Everybody's filled in a roster. Everybody's playing. There's no funny business going on. There's no Jared trade where he pulled everybody out. The line is legitimately 20 points favoring the KBGs, the biggest favorite we have seen all year in the KML. The all-time record also favors the KBGs, 5-0 over the history of the league. Never been defeated by the J-Rod the Bod Limbach. Last week, Jared got a win over Bill. Surprising. We didn't see it happening here at the studio, but was able to pull that one out. Comes into this one full strength. No buys, no injuries. Roster looks good top to bottom. Going to have his pick of the whole lot, full 53. As for the KBGs, not so rosy. Was able to get the win over Rob pretty easily. Didn't even have to break a sweat. As for the buys, there's nobody on buy, but got one big injury, which is Martin. Was expecting him back this week. Looks like he's still out. No timetable for your return, which could be an issue. The injury that is more troublesome to the KBGs is the Marshawn McCoy, Shady McCoy, tweaking this, tweaking that, tweaking a hammy in practice today. Questionable at this point if he's going to play on Sunday. Looking good, looking hopeful. However, keep an eye on that because if Shady can't go, this line could get really interesting really quick. As for the matchup, the KBGs have everybody going early. They're all done by the late games on Sunday. Nobody playing in prime time this week. Jared is going to have actually pretty significant people playing. He's got that Sunday Night Football game. He's going to have Russell Wilson and Hashka going. That's going to be some good points out of there. And then also he's got DeAndre Hopkins on Monday night going as well. I got to say this one, I think this one's over. Totally over. I think it's out of reach by around, say, like Sunday around 6 p.m., halftime of the second games. I think this thing is a huge lead. I think it's over by then. And I don't think we don't have to watch the primetime games. You can get a little bit extra sleep because it's not even going to be close enough to worry about anybody getting within sniffing distance of the KBGs. Picking the KBGs, lock it in, next game, go. Oof. Do I have a surprise for you? The Keg Watch Game of the Week is not one you would expect. The Keg Watch Game of the Week is going to be She Duked on My Johnson, 5-1 in second place, the highest seeded team we've ever had in the Keg Watch game, going up against the Chalupa Batmen, 1-5, last place. The line on this one is Joel favored by about 4 points, actually surprisingly close considering the two directions these teams are in. All-time record, all knotted up at 2-2. The reason this is the Keg Watch game is because I think this is an important week for Bill to get himself off Keg Watch. He's got a tough matchup, but at 1-5, there's a whole block of 2-4 teams, And if he can get a win, he's going to find himself quickly out of that bottom spot. But if he loses, 1-6 is going to be pretty tough to climb back out of in the last 6 games of the year to get himself off Keg Watch. Regardless, apologize to Joel about being on Keg Watch. Nothing personal. This is all about Bill this week. Joel last week beat mine up in the got dub. He finally got the game he's been waiting for all year out of Lamar Miller. Congratulations to him. I was a little disappointed because I was going to make a heavy trade play for him, but since he got that game, the stock price is off the charts. Not going to happen now. As for Bill, he lost to Jared. Really needed that win. Didn't get it done. It was a little disappointing for the Chalupa Batman this last week, but looking to shake that off and moving into this week. As for the bye weeks and the injuries, Joel comes into this one full strength, full steam ahead. Got nobody on bye, no injuries. Team is looking good and healthy. However, Bill is going to be without Greg Olsen, the top tight end on the year. That's going to really hurt. As for the matchup, the game to watch is going to be Monday Night Football. It's going to be a fun Monday Night Football game. You got Lamar Miller going up against the Denver defense, and you got Demaryius Thomas going up against the Houston defense. That could be a little bit closer than people think with Simeon coming back to full strength, hopefully, for the Chalupa Batman. I am going to pick Bill in this one, simply because every time I pick against Joel, he continues to win. So I'm picking Bill, because I think that Denver can shut down Lamar Miller. I don't think Osweiler is going to be able to move the ball really well. I think it's going to be a lot of 3-and-outs out there. He's not going to get that many touches, and I kind of like Bill in the upset. Demaryius Thomas coming out of a shell on Monday Night Football, making Bill happy, getting him back invested in fantasy football. So, Keg Watch game of the week. I'm having Bill over Joel. Next game to the game of the week, the got dub. Shoot it. Ladies and gentlemen, the game of the week. The game of the week this week. I'm excited about this matchup. It is going to be Vitaly's squad, 3-3, 6 plays, going up against the Revenge of the Scurv in his second consecutive got dub, 3-3 in 4th place. A couple of 3-3 teams. This is going to be a pivotal matchup for these two teams. We're at the halfway point of the regular season. The winner of this is going to have a winning record. The loser of this is going to have a losing record. 2 directions. This is the pivot point. This is the fulcrum. This is another word for fulcrum that I can't think of right now. The line on this one, Vegas hasn't even set yet because there's some question about the health of Carlos Hyde. We'll get to there in a second. So the line looks like it's going to be kind of even. It's probably going to favor Minot by somewhere around 4 to 5 points, depending on how Carlos Hyde's injury report comes back rest of the week. All-time record favors Minot 4-2, so Vitaly is looking to get back on the horse against Minot, try to even that record up a little bit more. Vitaly, he got the win against Moto. I think Moto thought it was going to be an easy victory over there. He did not get it. Vitaly was able to fight, was able to get himself to 3-3. He's had a nice little comeback after looking like he was dead in the water earlier this season. As for Moto, he lost to Joel in the got dub. I expected a little more out of that game. It looked like it was going to be really close heading into the late games on Sunday night and Monday night, but it got a little out of control once Lamar Miller took over, so it was just out of reach for Minot by the time Monday night rolled around and Fitzgerald couldn't get it done. As for bye weeks and injuries, Vitaly has a rough bye week this week. Carolina on bye. That means he's got Cam Newton's out. That means he got Jonathan Stewart out. And as for injuries, that Hyde thing is huge because if Hyde is out, I took a look at his bench, and I don't know who's going to start. I mean, I really don't. It could be a real issue. He might be picking up somebody off of the wire or trying to make a move here if Hyde looks like he's out to try to get somebody in there to start, but it's not looking good for him. As for Minot, the only one he's got on bye is Kelvin Benjamin, but honestly, he was smart and picked up that Meredith kid from Chicago the other day who's getting like 30 targets a game through the air. Brian Hoyer loved this guy, especially with Eddie Royal still hobbled. I mean, Cameron Meredith has just been kicking ass all over the place. A great pickup. He actually is going to start for him this week in place of Kelvin Benjamin. Shouldn't even be much of a drop-off there. I would be surprised if he actually would have outscored him this week. This brings me to my pick. I am going to pick Minot in the game, the got dub of the week, simply because there's too much bye week there. If you don't have Cam, if you don't have Jonathan Stewart, and you don't have Carlos Hyde, even if he plays, it looks like he's going to be limited. I don't see how you overcome that. That's your 2 starting running backs and your number 1 overall QB or your top 3 QB. That's just going to be hard to replace those points. I think Minot takes the gut dub, gets himself to 4-3, and back on the horse after slipping the last couple 3 or 4 weeks here. So I'm taking Minot. Lock it in. Hey, everybody, halfway point. Have a great halfway point week. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay safe out there. Ignore Jared's trade request, and I'll see you back here next week. Have a great weekend, everybody. Niet!